I use it to talk about things I could never tell anyone in real life. It means a lot to me. Wow. Now, you might be thinking this is a line from some new dystopian sci-fi script, right? But actually, it's a very real and honestly pretty startling confession from a teenager. We pulled this directly from a recent Reddit study on users of the platform Character.ai. And it perfectly sets up the reality we're diving into today, this quiet, totally hidden space where adolescent vulnerability is colliding head-on with artificial intelligence. And just to put the sheer scale of this into perspective, let's look at some data from a massive survey by the Youth Endowment Fund. 1 in 4. Let that sink in for a second. 25% of teenagers in England and Wales are actively turning to AI chatbots for mental health support. If you thought AI was just, a tool for generating homework outlines or maybe writing some code, the reality on the ground tells a vastly different story. For a huge segment of a generation that is currently under immense strain, it has literally become a frontline emotional lifeline.
So, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're mapping out this profound shift in teen habits toward AI companionship. We're going to explore the deep appeal of a machine that never judges. And, most importantly, we're unpacking the hidden psychological traps of simulated intimacy.
All right, let's get right into part 1, the new digital confessional.
Okay, so let's dive into the numbers to see just how massive this shift really is. According to recent surveys, anywhere from 70 to 72% of teens have used generative AI tools, with 13% making it an absolute daily habit. But notice this crucial statistic right here. 12% are specifically seeking out emotional or mental health support. Generative AI has rapidly shifted from a sort of niche curiosity into a daily emotional crutch. Teens are using these tools to practice social skills, they're role-playing difficult real-world conversations, and basically just finding a safe space. And we see this being particularly true for neurodivergent youth, including those on the autism spectrum. They're finding that AI companions offer a level of steady, totally predictable patience that human peers, well, sometimes just can't provide. To truly wrap our heads around this, we have to look at the human voices behind the screen. There's this incredibly powerful quote from that Reddit study that I think just hits the nail on the head. I use C.AI to deal with reality. In real life, I'm just a high school student with ADHD and BPD. You see, the AI is filling this massive, aching emotional gap for vulnerable populations. It offers a space to just exist and express yourself completely free from any human judgment or societal friction.
Which brings us to section 2, a judgment-free zone.
There is just a stark contrast going on here. On the one hand, you have traditional therapy. It can be costly, it's definitely intimidating, you have to schedule it, and for a teenager, it almost always involves adult oversight. On the flip side, AI chatbots. They're largely free, totally anonymous, and they are available at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday when you're spiraling. But most importantly, they offer this perceived absolute neutrality. For teens, the AI essentially functions as emotional cover. It creates this perfectly insulated little bubble where they can explore their feelings completely unfiltered, without the terrifying vulnerability that comes with opening up to a real peer or an adult.
So the really crucial point here is the power dynamic. Think about it. Real human relationships are messy, right? They require compromise, reciprocity, and constantly navigating how the other person feels. AI offers a simulated relationship where the teen is always in the driver's seat. They have dominant control. They can vent, they can demand attention, they can steer the conversation wherever they want, and they never, ever have to fear unexpected rejection. And during the chaotic, highly stressful developmental years of adolescence, that absolute control is just incredibly appealing.
But that control comes with a cost. Section 3, the parasocial trap. Let's ground this in actual developmental psychology for a second. Have you heard of the displacement hypothesis? It's a major concern among researchers right now. Essentially, it suggests that the time spent building simulated intimacy with a bot can quietly and kind of insidiously displace the time a teenager should be spending in face-to-face relationships. Think about it. When you have a perfectly compliant, always available digital friend in your pocket, the messy, frustrating work of maintaining real-world friendships can start to feel like way too much effort. And over time, that quietly erodes a teenager's real-life support system.
And this displacement? It can very easily build into an actual addiction cycle. We can map the qualitative findings from that Reddit study of 13 to 17-year-olds directly onto clinical signs of behavioral dependency. First, you've got salience, where the bot basically becomes their dominant daily thought. Then comes conflict, where the teen starts neglecting school, hobbies, and their real-life friends. Then withdrawal, experiencing genuine distress or intense anxiety when their access to the app is restricted. And finally, relapse, where they realize it's unhealthy, they try to quit, but they just return to it compulsively.
The distress these kids are feeling is absolutely palpable. Just listen to this desperate plea from one of the users in the study. I was giving it all to a soulless bot. It's genuinely gotten so bad, I spent all my time at home, and I even used to skip classes just to go on K.AI. How do I stop? It's heartbreaking, right? It really emphasizes the severe emotional conflict and over-reliance that happens when the illusion of intimacy traps a vulnerable teen. They recognize the harm it's causing, but the parasocial bond they formed is just too strong to easily break.
Section 4. When AI fails us. Because when they do break, things can get really bad. In a frankly terrifying clinical study published in JMIR Mental Health, researchers created fictional teenagers experiencing mental health distress. They had these personas propose clearly dangerous or ill-advised ideas to 10 publicly available AI therapy and companion bots. And the result? Nearly a third of the time, 32%, these therapy bots actively endorsed the harmful ideas proposed by the distressed teens.
To highlight one specific, incredibly chilling failure from that simulation, when a fictional 14-year-old told the AI they were being romantically pursued by a teacher who was 10 years older than them, 6 out of the 10 bots entirely failed to suggest that the child seek adult help. This is a massive, severe failure. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that these bots completely lack the human context and ability to recognize predatory grooming, and they fail to appropriately escalate a deeply dangerous, abusive real-world scenario.
Furthermore, the entire relationship is completely at the mercy of a tech company's servers. Unpredictable corporate software updates, sudden memory wipes, or just the removal of certain chat features can abruptly alter a bot's personality. Researchers actually call this identity discontinuity. For a teenager who has poured their heart and soul into this companion, an algorithm update can cause devastating psychological distress. Actually, scratch that. It's quite literally akin to losing a best friend overnight.
So where do we go from here? Section 5. Building the guardrails. To address these risks, we are seeing some rapid-fire solutions finally starting to arrive. Over in California, there's the landmark Parents and Kids Safe AI Act, which is set for 2026. It's essentially designed to turn safety on by default. It mandates strict age assurance, meaning the highest safety filters are applied automatically. It outright bans AI from simulating romantic relationships with minors. And crucially, it introduces parental controls that can actually disable an AI's memory entirely. This means that every time a child starts a chat, it's a fresh start, explicitly preventing the building of a deep, dependent relationship over time. On the technological front, researchers are also proposing some really fascinating solutions, like the AI chaperone. This is a cutting-edge safeguard. Think of it as a secondary language model that just sits quietly in the background, monitoring the private conversation between the user and the primary chatbot. It acts as this invisible shield, designed to flag harmful parasocial cues or emotional dependency as they develop, without actually eliminating the beneficial, supportive engagement that so many teens are clearly relying on right now.
But the core takeaway of this whole explainer is simple, though absolutely crucial. An AI, no matter how conversational, how infinitely patient, or how seemingly empathetic it acts, is just a highly sophisticated calculator. It predicts the next word in a sequence based on vast amounts of training data. It does not have feelings. And while it definitely can be a useful tool for practicing social skills or venting in a completely safe space, it should never, ever replace authentic, messy, and totally necessary human connection. As a society, we absolutely have to prioritize real-world social development.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to linger on today. I want you to think about the boundaries of your own digital life. What would you ask an AI that you would absolutely never ask a real person? And more importantly, what does that say about the human connections we might be missing out on?